please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you are notified when new videos drop. I'm recording this on Wednesday, November 9th. I'm not sure when it's going out. Probably in the weekend. Probably in the weekend. But the big story thus far in the week, and I'm saying this on Wednesday because we're going to get a whole bunch of new news stories on Thursday with Doctor Who magazine. But we're saying this on Wednesday. The big news story this week is the incredible amount of capital that's being sunk into Doctor Who because of this Disney Plus deal. Right? There's a lot more money going into Doctor Who. Look, this is what I've always assumed the Disney Plus deal was going to be. When you turn on Disney Plus, it's much like Netflix, much like all these streaming services. But Disney Plus have these little tiles, one for Marvel, one for Star Wars, one for, I don't know, Disney. You have all these little tiles, and we're going to get one for Doctor Who, I assume. Now, if you click on that tile, I'm assuming the very least we're going to get, right? The absolute very least we're going to get is all of modern Doctor Who, all of 2005 onward Doctor Who. Broken down into the Doctors, all on, I guess, as high a def as they have it. They have it on 4K. We'll get it on 4K, man, but they'll even upscale to 4K. I don't know. So I think that's the very least we're going to get. Hopefully we'll get Sarah Jane Adventures. Hopefully we'll get Torchwood as well. I think the later seasons of Torchwood might be a bit iffy because they made them with stars, even though that wasn't a very good season. Children of Earth was the season of Torchwood in my mind. But I think I think there's also a few other bits and pieces. There's those cartoons they did, Dreamland, or what was that one? I can't remember. There's lots of bits and bobs, right? I think that's the absolute minimum we're getting. I'm hoping for classic, right? I am hoping for classic. Maybe in Doctor Who magazine, when it comes out tomorrow, which is in the past for you guys, they're going to reveal what's on the channel. Actually, I don't think so. I think their big scoop that they were talking about is they got the 14th Doctor's first adventure, right? Which sounds, so that's going to be some kind of like bridging thing. Which is interesting actually, because you weren't allowed to show Christopher Eccleston in any kind of representation until he'd been on screen, right? Of course no, because the 14th Doctor has been on screen yet. He weren't allowed to before before Rose debut. There was the original idea they're going to of regenerating McGann into Christopher Eccleston in the comic strip. If you get the collection, it's the one with the Cybermen, the Flood, right? If you get the collection, you see the original last page, which was Christopher Eccleston in Paul McGann's outfit, asleep on a couch, right? Just after regenerating, but they had to shelve that because they weren't allowed to have him in. And another idea, this was from Russell Lee Davis, was to have somebody in mid-regeneration, like Dormammu from Doctor Strange, like have him permanently in middle of regeneration. In the end, I can't remember what they did, but I think that's their big scoop, right? Again, by the time this comes out, we're gonna know, right? We're gonna know what's going down. But the question is this money, is this capital that's being sunk into Doctor Who, good news or bad news, right? I mean, they're saying the episode budgets are going to increase about 10 million an episode. Is it good news or bad news? Now, obviously, most people say, oh, more money is a good thing. Especially, listen, I do live in the very Jewish world, right? I'm very, very Jewy. I think you'll be hard-pressed to find any of my brethren going, oh, lots more money. No, that's a bad idea. Right? No, I don't think you're going to find. Well, maybe. Well, I guess you'll find anything anyway. But is it a good thing? Right? I don't really know. Is the question. So, because I'm a big believer in unlimited budgets makes things weaker. Right? I think that's what we saw from the Marvel movies, right? When they started off, they had very good budgets, right? But they didn't have unlimited budget, and I think that that need to think around problems that comes from finances often results in gold, right? Often results in stuff that's really, really good. The best example I can think of is Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first one. You have that big, you have this guy appear, he's got that big knife, as a running through Cairo or wherever, and everybody's empties out, and there's supposed to be a big fight with Indy with the bullwhip and the guy with these big sword, right? And apparently they were 3 or 4 days, like a week behind in production at the time, because a bout of dysentery had hit the production. Right? There's a great story by what's he called again? The guy who plays Salah, his Arab friend, India, that one, right? That one. Said how he soiled his hijab. Is it a hijab? I can't remember how he used the right word for whatever that robe thing he wore in it, right? Because the dysentery was so bad. Anyway, they were running behind. Time is money, especially when making movies. And I think it was Harrison Ford. Who had the idea, said, why don't I just pull out my gun and shoot him? Right? Why doesn't Indy just do that? And then we're back on schedule, right? And Steven Spielberg was like, that's a pretty darn good idea. And they did that. Best moment of the movie, right? Best moment of the movie, born out from a crunch in circumstances. They needed to save money, right? So that's just an example. But how having unlimited money can be a problem, right? Can be a problem. I don't think it's going to be really. I really have a lot of trust in Rusty Davis. But I was interested that I saw an article from the Mary Sue basically asking the same question, right? I mean, look, I think their motivation is they don't like that Jodie Whittaker has been replaced so completely and totally, so insanely quickly by Ncuti Gatwa. I mean, like, they like it that Ncuti's black because they really are very, very into people's skin color, right? They're like, we used to call that being racist. now we call that being progressive. Strange times we live in. But so I think they're just fetching about anything. So we're going to read the article from the Mary Sue, which is just strange that we have a similar thought over it, because Mary Sue has been is a website that very much like Jodie Whittaker, not because her episodes were any good, because they weren't. They were unwatchably bad. It's because she was a lady and she had lady bits, all right? And those lady bits were breaking the glass ceiling. I mean, really, I think the only thing a lady bits can really do is maybe shine a glass ceiling. Breaking glass ceiling, that seems a bit, optimistic. But whatever you want to say. But before we get into it, like, share, subscribe, and comment. All those things are very, very good. Please subscribe, right? That is really crazily, insanely helpful. If you're a newer subscriber, I've had a few new subscribers of late. If you're a newer subscriber, please let me know what you would like me to talk about. I exist at your what's the word? At your preference, I can't remember. But let me know whatever you would like me to cover. If you haven't subscribed yet, if you can consider hitting that button, that genuinely help. Does it help me? It makes me happy, right? I think it helps me to be happy. I like being happy. If you can hit the subscribe button, that's really, really good. Thank you very much. I have an email news list called Substack. It's in the video notes right there. You can sign up to it. It's absolutely free. I understand. It's you want to sign up for 10 times. That would make sense. It's absolutely free. I let you know about all my content where you'll find it every day, because I just assumed I'm going to get banned from YouTube at some point. Because I say unspeakable heresies. That does happen. I'm also on Rumble. If you want to be able to find me, sign up my Substack. I also put in extras into that, like Doctor Who magazine articles from years and years ago, because I think it's fun. There's no real rhyme or reason. I just go, oh, that sounds fun, I'll put that in, right? On Fridays, I try, if I remember, to send out a PDF of one of the out-of-print Virgin New Adventure books, or BBC 8th Doctor Adventure. Well, those books are out print. That was a great little era, I have to tell you. The pre Exxon era wasn't quite as awful as you might think. It was really quite nice. We had Big Finish, we had books, we had a whole bunch of stuff going on. So like, share, subscribe, comment, Substack. I also have a paid Substack. I send out stuff on that as well. This month you're getting at least one short story, and you're probably going to get some artwork as well. You're probably going to get some chapters from my new book, Ecky Thump, the story of Jodie Whittaker. Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who. Fine, like, share, subscribe, comment. All those things are good. Let's have a look at this story over here. Doink! And again, Mary Sue. Doctor Who budget set to triple with Disney Plus deal. But is that good for the show? Again, that we're asking the same freaking question. I think it might be a good thing, right? But people on different sides of the cultural aisle are having similar concerns. Let's see what their concern is, right? Is their concern, well, wait a minute, shouldn't Jodie have got that money? All right. Here's a question, right? Here's a question for you, and the answer is pretty obvious. Jodie Whittaker was obviously paid the same as Peter Capaldi when she took on the role, but when she left the role, it was greatly diminished, right? It wasn't the same role as she took on. It didn't have the same cultural clout, and she pretty much killed it, right? So, would Ncuti Gatwa's salary be based on Jodie Whittaker's performance, right? Like when she came in, or is it going to be based on it being Doctor? I think he's getting paid, right? I think they're all getting good money out of this. Doctor Who is heading into a new era, not just with Ncuti Gatwa becoming the new face of the show, but because and they hate that David Tennant is the Doctor. That well, wait a minute, he's a white man. Ew, they just hate it that David Tennant's back. But what's good, BBC is teaming up with Disney. If there's one thing we know about Disney titles, they usually have astronomically high budget, and again, can you name me anything from Disney Plus that made you go, oh yeah, that was worth the money? I mean, I think first season of Mandalorian, second season is okay, not as good as the first season, but all the things they pour the money in. I was going to say Reva show, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It was more the Reva show. Just it looked kind of cheap because they just used that swanky new studio over and over and over again. Low-key. None of these things. None of these things have really gained any cultural traction, right? They never trend on social media because no one's really interested in it. So that's something I do think this new era is going to do. I think this era is going to have a genuine, organic. What's the word I'm looking for? Trending, presence in on social media and in media in general. I think it's going to be a cultural zeitgeist. Whereas the Jodie Whittaker era, bit of a cultural implosion. I think it's a fair way of describing it. If there's one thing, okay, so they put a lot of money in it, and it seems Doctor Who is getting the same treatment. I mean, essentially, the way that streaming services make money is they don't look at TV shows that they don't look at the viewership because it's always low. Viewership is always in low millions if you're lucky, but it's how many people will sign on to your service because that's on, right? If they get, I don't know, 100,000 people who says I got to play Disney Plus $8 a month, right? It's just I got it there for Doctor Who. Yeah, so that's what that's an extra 800 million. It's like ridiculous a month, because that's just the economics of it. Okay, so no, it's not 800 million. That's if there's that will be if there's 100 million people sign up. There will be 800 million a month. No. I don't think you can get 100 million to sign up, but I do think it's going to get people to sign up to Disney Plus. The entertainment industry site Broadcast estimates that Doctor Who's existing budget of between £1 to £3 million an episode, not dollars, that's quite a lot, could triple to circa 10 million. So it's really, they're just guesstimating, right? I honestly think the budget's going to be good. They're going to be able to function. But I think Russ will be much more interested in using that capital to make more programming, right? That's what I think is going on. This is certainly a mighty amount of money. For context, Rings of Power, which was awful, right? Embarrassingly awful. The most expensive show ever made had a average budget of 89.4 million per episode. Oh my god, 89.4 million per episode. Jeez, bloody Christ! Thank God they only did 8 episodes. 89.4 million. Are you struggling to be able to heat your home? Okay, because Amazon dropped $89.4 sodding million on each episode of that unwatchable shit. Well, House of Dragon, that was a bargain. Only 20 million per episode, right? And House of Dragon was quite good. Beyond the hardcore fans, Doctor Who has never quite become a broad appeal show, said Show Insider, according to Radio Times. That's actually true. It's just like the weird show that everybody knows about. I think the way they described it on Community was quite accurate, right? If you ever see Community, they did a Doctor Who parody on it called Professor Spacetime. And it kind of irritated me because it was like everything bad about Doctor Who. So they had one character watching Professor Spacetime and they said, "Oh, let me see what it is," and it was like these like really really cheesy effects and unrealistic monsters and just didn't look very good, right? So the person looks at it and goes, "That's the greatest thing I've ever seen," right? I think that's most people's experience with Doctor Who. Said Radio Times, but with the right investment from Disney Plus, Russell has a bigger blank piece of paper to really do something different. And I think look, Disney has been the destroyer of worlds for franchises. They've done terrible things to both to both Marvel and Star Wars. They really, really and I think they're about to do the same to Indiana Jones. They are the absolute death of every franchise they touched. I think they know that though. I think the tides are turning, the sands are shifting, and making stuff that has no audience is not economically viable anymore. I mean, it is, but it's weird, right? That it was economically viable for a good 5 years. But and they just denied it and have an audience. But no, none of their stuff are really landing an audience. I think what Disney really wants is a franchise that can organically reflect their Disney values of inclusivity, shall we say? Shall we say inclusivity, or shall we say being on board for genital mutilation of children? It means the same thing essentially. Was it genital mutilation and sterilization of children? I'm sorry, I wasn't entirely clear. Of course, big budgets don't always result in good TV shows. Looking at you, Rings of Power. In fact, a good portion of the beauty of Doctor Who lies in the feel-good, low-budget episodes. Honestly, that's actually kind of true. I really like Love and Monsters. I know a lot of people hate it. I really like Love and Monsters. I think that's as much fun as The Day of the Doctor. Right? Genuinely, I do. This might be nostalgia. This might be my nostalgia as a Brit growing up with the show. But what makes the show great, is strong writing and powerful characters. I don't need high-end CGI, extravagant sets, or A-list cameos. I just want the storyline I care about and some adventures throughout time and space to get stuck into. Well, again, I think we're living in fantastic times. I do. I think we're living in absolutely fantastic times. Because I'm agreeing with the Mary Sue, right? I am absolutely agreeing with Mary Sue. And I think that's the bottom line. I do think it's going to be diverse, right? I don't think it's going to platform ideas that most people find abhorrent or strange, right? I think it's going to be as woke to define woke, it's the platforming of ideology in an existent successful franchise. I don't think it's going to be any more woke than it was in 2005, right? I think it's going to be about the same. I see like the sands shifting, as I said. Away from that, I think Disney really, really needs a win, right? I think they want something that's popular with its audience, that gains a mainstream audience as well through its popularity, and yet still reflects its reasonably strange values of trying to get children to chemically castrate themselves or cut their tits off. One of those two, or having a drag queen in every school. Those sort of things. Which strangely enough, not as unpopular as you would have thought. So it's a question, right? What's it going to be? Are these budgets really going to help? I'm thinking probably, because I think Rusty Davis can write a story, right? He might not in this case. He might do something absolutely awful. But I think Rusty Davis can write a story, which is very exciting, right? For me, it's very exciting. So, also excited about this is What Culture. Let's see what they have to think about for the future of the Rusty Davis Doctor Who. 10 ways Rusty Davis will save Doctor Who. Now, I do want to remind you that I'm not sure if this writer particularly said it, but I think an ongoing narrative we've had over the last 5 years is Doctor Who is doing as better than it's ever been before. Look how great the ratings are. They were terrible. Oh, but it had the average higher viewership in season 11 than it had for years. Yeah, and then it went down and imploded. It fell off a cliff, right? The idea that Doctor Who needed to be saved, what they said was laughable. And now they're all saying Doctor Who needs to be saved. I mean, honestly, I think the crushing truth is they've realising how much of a failure this era was. And again, it's not that they love the era, they love the ideology behind the era. So, they're not dealing well. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of articles really turning on Chris Chibnall. I mean, look, he's a convenient white man handy. Let's get after him. That's what I would say. Fine, so let's have a look. The main man is back to save Doctor Who, but what is it we want him to do? I want him to do something I don't expect. But honestly, I mean, I've always thought Doctor Who is at its best when it's on the cutting edge, when it's young, right? When it's moving forward, and it's got to respect its own DNA, which again, Rusty Davis has done over and over and over again. But look, basically, I'm quite progressive, which is a weird thing to say, because being progressive today is just very strange. But I just think that makes for better art, better entertainment. Consider this, it's 2005 and you hear the silly show about a face-changing alien, one who flies in an old police box all things is coming back to BBC. You're happy there's new sci-fi on the air, but you're a bit confused as to why your parents are worried. Really, they say, the guy who made Queer as Folk is resurrecting Doctor Who? What a disaster. I don't remember anybody saying that at all in 2003 and 4. Nobody said that. We're like, what? Rusty Davis? That guy's making Doctor Who, but he's really popular. The BBC love him. Okay. Everybody was psyched right from the first moment, okay? Honestly, everyone was psyched from the first moment. In every revival or reimagining, there are those who are worried about what's to come. And there are lots of, the Disney Plus thing really worries a lot of people. And they could all be right? They could all be right. I'm optimistic, but they could all be right. This happened with Doctor Who itself, where, like when Stephen Moffat took over from Rusty Davis, people decry the idea of another showrunner could ever hold a candle to the predecessor. That's not true at all, right? We're as excited for Stephen Moffat. We loved his stuff, okay? It's just not true at all. But more often than not, these worries add up to naught. But sometimes they do. I mean, look, I was on board for Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall. It didn't work out well. Interestingly, they're not belaboring the point right now. That is interesting. And now we come full circle. RTD, he who was so successfully revived the show in 2005, is returning in 2023 to breathe new life into the franchise, which admittedly started to feel a little stale during the Jodie Whittaker and Chris Chibnall years. More than stale, mate. It was rancid with maggots running through it. It was awful. But with Rusty Davis at the helm, the future of Doctor Who looks brighter than ever. Yes, it does. And here's some ways he can restore Doctor Who to the pop culture juggernaut it deserves to be. Which is, again, what I'm excited about. Familiar faces, and I want to reiterate, the toxic fans that came in with Chibnall, that came in with Whittaker, are so mad at this, right? Oh, they are so... Oh, we went from the first woman ever to a white man. Okay, why don't you just look at people individually? It's old news now that David Tennant and Catherine Tate will be returning to Doctor Who, with Tennant already having appeared in the final episode. Bit of a giveaway, really, of the Jodie Whittaker run as the 14th Doctor. It's interesting, by the way. Again, we're seeing his first adventure in Doctor Who magazine. What if Rusty Davis is writing it? My guess is maybe, right? My guess is maybe. But I think when the David Tennant's Doctor shows up in 2023. He's going to be in a different TARDIS. It's going to have a different interior. That's probably what this comic strip story is going to be telling us. Again, you all know because you're in the future and I'm in the past. As the 14th Doctor, the task of David has to prove why this rather obvious attempt to evoke nostalgia and win viewers back is anything other than simply that. I think it probably is going to be simply that. Did the Doctor choose this face for a specific reason, as was the case with the 12th Doctor, reusing Peter Capaldi's attack eyebrows? No, it's because Capaldi loved Doctor Who. He wanted to be in it. He got a role as Kamikos, or whatever it is, in that Rome episode, which I thought was quite good, Files of Pompeii. And then he got another role as the guy in Torchwood in the same universe. And now he's Doctor Who. Because he likes Doctor Who, right? He wanted to be in Doctor Bloody Who. The Doctor has reused faces a few times now, with the sixth Doctor Conor Baker having a supporting role in the show before taking the title role. Yeah, okay, I think you're reading into this bit. The Dead Doctor also introduced the idea of revisiting old favourites, as it was heavily suggested that creator played with glee by Tom Baker was a future incarnation of Doctor, bringing back familiar faces. Is hardly a new idea in Doctor Who. Well, kind of is, actually. We encourage it as long as it's given more than simply a fan service reason. And again, I don't think there would be. I don't think Russell Davies can write hollow fiction, right? Like, I just don't think. I don't think it's in his wheelhouse. Still, even if it doesn't feel like a cheap fan service, there's no doubt Tennant's return will bring people back to Doctor Who, specifically those who may have lost interest over the last few years. You mean normies? I mean the British public? Yes, they did lose interest, right? They lost a lot of interest. High emotional stakes. Well, I mean, you're going to have that with Donna Noble. How is Donna Noble going to be able to cope with the 14th Doctor? I don't know. If there's one thing Davis knew how to do, was how to elicit emotional response from viewers. Yes, that's very true. The crowd reactions reactions to the return of Bad Wolf are ruining every single piece of joy we've ever had, as we realise why there had to be a human Time Lord meta crisis before. Are enough to confirm that Davis knew how to get people invested. I still think he felt bad with how Donna left, right? I think he wants to rectify that. Now, while we're not asking him to carve out our hearts with a butcher's knife every week, it's clear that Davis knows how to find a balance between humour and comedy, tragedy and ecstasy, but this is something that has been lacking for the show for a few years now. You mean from Chris Chibnall? During the Chibnall era, the balance was off. You're right. Many of the 13th Doctor stories either relied too heavily on one aspect or barely offered enough other than a twist ending. He's a bad writer. I mean, I just want to eat that. Yes, he's a bad writer. Did you not notice? Yeah. No, he is a bad writer. David has the receipts to prove he's more in depth working with high emotional stakes into his writing, as the saying goes, if you can't make them laugh, then break their little hearts into tiny pieces, stomp on the pieces, and set fire to the remains. I guess so. Bums on seats, laddie. Bums on seats. All these strange creatures. Are we getting Murray Gold back? It hasn't been confirmed he's coming back yet. Let's be clear. Segun Akinola brought majesty and beauty and maturity and spirit to the score of 13th Doctor. No, he was bad. He was badly casted. It was a diversity hire in that he was hired because he was black. If his name was Reg Smith from Clapham, he would not have got that bloody job, right? That's the reality, right? If his name was Reg Smith from Clapham, he would not have got that job, right? And he was just, the music wasn't very good. Much like the writing, so I guess it did fit, right? But, what culture are in a bit of a bind because he's a black man and you can't criticise black men. That would be, again, why can't we just look at people as human beings again? That would be really nice. If we were to continue on the show's main composer, the world would be no less a place for it. Yes. So perhaps this entry is a little cheeky. No, you're just being honest that Murray Gold was awesome. However, think back to the 2005 era of Doctor Who. The soundtrack was both cinematic yet modern, with pieces like Doomsday, Madame de Pompadour, Dazzling End. That's from the porn version, I guess. The greatest story never told. Oh, that's great. The Wedding River song. Murray Gold captured fairy tale via musical notes and never. It was fairy tale mixed with science fiction, right? It was epic and fairy tale at the same time. Still, one of my favorite Doctor Who pieces of music of all time is the Matt Smith theme. That is such perfect Doctor Who. Right? It's wonderful. It never disappoints throughout its entire run. That's very true. And that's not all. It's been 9 years since the last Doctor Who Proms concert because no one's interested. Right? So Gunnar didn't bring it. I'm sorry. Like, yeah, I do think that Shooting Gutwell got in the room because he's a non-white actor, right? I do think that's why he was on the list of audition. I think he can bring it, right? I'm hoping the same is true of Yasmin Finney. I guess we'll find out. We celebrated the 50th anniversary with a combination of classic and modern music. These concerts were hugely popular and a gateway for younger fans to enjoy some classical music. Yes! Monsters will walk through the crowd in costumes. Again, this is when you like Doctor Who, right? This is when it was a delightful family show, right? I don't think there are any other family shows where everybody can sit down and go, oh, this is fun. Right? Yeah. The monsters walked through the crowds in costume while beautifully thematic scales would rain down from above. It was quite frankly a clever tool for helping people fall in love with the show. Akinola's music Akinola's music could and should play a part in this as well. No! And all the morphs. It was shit, okay? It was shit. If Davis can push for the return of these concerts, I'm sure he will, and even reach out to Gold and bring him back, so that it will go a long way towards solidifying Doctor Who's place in the Zygest once again. That is true. I do agree. Crash Bang Wallop! Oh, man. Okay, the trouble with the Chibnall era is they only had Crash Bang Wallop, and it didn't have any... I mean, the latest stuff. It only had Crash Bang Wallop. It didn't have any story behind it. Okay. Very early in this writer's career, Davis era Doctor Who was described as Crash Bang Wallop. Okay, but by this reviewer, by this the reviewer felt, there were so many explosions in the show, it was in danger of combusting at any moment, threatening to explode out of context. Out of our televisions into our living rooms. Now, that may not have been the worst event in the world, provided that it wasn't followed by a boatload of Daleks and Cybermen. They did that in, what was it, Doomsday? What's the one? It was the Cyberman one, right? The season 2 finale, when the Cybermen were like invading people's homes. That was really scary, right? Now that as time went on, the show became somewhat more confined. Moffat's era, in particular, was peppered with episodes that were much smaller in scope, more character-driven, and more obviously enigmatic. Think Amy's choice of the God Complex. Oh, I love the God Complex. I love the freaking God Complex. And I'm gutted Toby Whithouse isn't the showrunner for Doctor Who, right? God Complex is fantastic. There was a period, particularly around the 6th series of the revival, where the show could no longer honestly be called child-friendly. Well, it was more like child terrified. But that's what Doctor Who should be. It should be scary to kids, right? I think that's why you had smarter kids watch Doctor Who. Because, dumber kids are like, oh, I'm scared, run away, right? But I think smarter kids liked it, right? This isn't to say that it was too frightening for younger viewers, but rather it became so complex and arguably convoluted, it was hard to follow. Not for kids! No, it's for adults that are hard to follow. Chibnall's era went something in the opposite direction with the stories that were less about deeper meaning and simpler. Yeah, it was made for 3-year-olds, right? Some also lacked the heart that came before, all of them. Obviously, exceptions being here, Rosa for one. That had no heart. I'm sorry. No, it didn't. It was just an expression of narcissism, as white people went that, oh, look how bad I feel about black people. I am so good. That's what it's all about. I mean, If you think the Black Little Mermaid is in any way for black people, you're delusional. The Black Little Mermaid is only for white people to feel good about themselves. The balance of action, adventure, story, and drama seemed, with the benefit of hindsight, to be a perfect balance during Davis' initial run. But it was very, very good also during not Capaldi, the Moffat run. We can only hope that this returns. It's going to return again. You're focusing on how useless Chris Chibnall is. I'm sorry, he is not very good at his job. Okay, he's not very good at his job. His return will unite fans. Yes, and I do see that happening now. Right. The toxic fans that came in with Jodie, they kind of got very sidelined recently as they railed against David Tennant being the Doctor for 3 episodes, right? They really railed against it. Okay. That's now they just look a bit weird, right? People, anybody trying to maintain the hatred to people who didn't like the Jodie Whittaker years just seems a bit weird and stupid now, right? It just seems a little bit like a little bit of a loser, right? That's basically what it seems to me. Doctor Who being a British, he will reunite. He will unite fans. Well, he seems to be doing so. He seems to be trying to be doing so, in my opinion, right? I think the classic logo is to bring back the older fans, right? He seems to be doing so. Doctor Who, being a British institution that it is, has divided fans for almost as long as it's been around. No. There has been nothing like the Jodie Whittaker years, including the JNT Must Go campaign. Has been nothing like it. There's been nothing like this divide in fandom ever before, right? We've never seen narcissists with no moral virtue or value whatsoever being so prominent, right? Which is, basically who they are, right? They would just lie to make weird little points. It's very strange. It's all weird. In 1963, the strange wizard-type man whisked a couple of teachers away with his granddaughter in a police box. In 2005, most people had no idea what a police box, this writer included. Well, really, and equally wizard-type man, this time in the shape of Rusty Davis, opened up the blue doors, and the show enjoyed popularity it never seen before. Yeah, but I think by the time, it was Matt Smith's first season, right? The season finale of Matt Smith's first season, it was at Amy Pond's wedding, right? And this was when she was remembering the Doctor back into reality. One of my absolute favourite bits in Doctor Who. I really, really love this, right? I really love this. But she talks about the blueness of the TARDIS. Like there's something borrowed, something blue, right? And the bluest blue came out, and that was never really a thing in the classic era. But boy, did they build that up in the revival? And I think for the better. Set the blue doors, and the show enjoyed popularity never seen before. We must also celebrate the contributions of Moffat and Chibnall. Well, I half agree with you. They took the foundations that Davis laid down and built upon them, adding the show's already rich lore. And yet there have been those who have tried anyone's attempt to take the reins as sacrilege. Really? What? I don't know. Again, the only way that person was described as sacrilege was Chris Chibnall, because he did sacrilege, right? Something that is hardly new, as there's been so many showrunners from the moment Matt Smith's 11th Doctor took control of the TARDIS. There were those who were clamouring for Russell Davies' return. Really not. I'm sorry. No. I mean, we were clamouring for Moffat to leave by the end because he was just distracted during the beginning of the Capaldi run doing Sherlock, in my opinion, right? It was just really distracted. And it was time for something new, right? I was on board for Chris Chibnall. Then I saw his work and I went, oh boy. Not so much. One thing is obvious in fandom as a whole. Nostalgia sells. As of writing, there have been 13 years since Davis last took the reins of Doctor Who. From the moment his return was announced, you can almost feel fandom a fandom that's both been shrinking and divided in recent years start to mend. I only really started when we saw Shooty, right? There were also those who joined the fun after Davis's departure and have only heard about his tenure. Well, it's not like it's a lost era, you know. It's like there's multiple ways of watching it. Overall, RTD's name alone is going to bring levels of attention to Doctor Who that it hasn't had for quite some time. Yeah, because they couldn't have that much attention because it was too weak, right? It was absolutely too weak. The backing of the House of Mouse. Now, again, we were talking at the beginning of this video. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I think, again, in Russell D. Davies we trust, right? That's basically the bottom line. I'm trusting Russell D. Davies hugely, right? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm just optimistic, and I'm just very happy to see this logo return. And I do like this new iteration of it, which is slightly a little bit more 3D and a bit more chunky than we've seen before. Where are we up to? Doctor Who fandom exploded recently when the news broke that the silly little phone box show will be joining Disney. The second time I use that line, will be joining Disney in 2023. It's good news for me. It makes it much easier for me to watch it live, right? Though there's some confusion as to the finer points of the deal. Well, not confusion. We're not privy to these private deals. How much creative input will Disney have, if any? Again, my take on this is Russell has sold it to them as matching their weird, very disturbing values on gender and sexuality, right? They've sold it to them like, we've got a black Doctor Who, he's a Rwandan immigrant, right? I'm a gay man, Russell D. Davies. Oh, it's all good, right? All these things that really shouldn't matter at all are super important to Disney, right? Also, I don't think he's I don't see Russell D. Davies campaigning for Nigel Farage or Donald Trump in the near future, right? I think he's pretty much on board politically, sociologically with Disney. Fine, they all are. Again, I'm really psyched about James Gunn taking over the DCU movies. And he's aligned politically with them all as well. He's only ever produced good work. Same with Russell D. Davies, right? So I think he's going to do what he's done before and make good Doctor Who, make Doctor Who the way he's made it before, which now, again, very much fits into the Disney worldview and will be entertaining for fans. This will be a huge win. If he pulls it off, it's a huge win for everyone. Mainly him, actually. It's going to make a lot of money. There's still some final points of the deal. How much creative input will every new Who episode eventually join the service or just the new ones? I'm thinking at least the new Who, right? It's no exaggeration to say this might be the most significant piece of Doctor Who news since the show's return in 2005. I agree. With over 150 million subscribers in 106 countries, the reach of Disney Plus is absolutely huge. Yes, right. Absolutely, it is absolutely huge, and Doctor Who is very, very, very sexy to them right now. It's certainly much greater than anything BBC could hope to accomplish on its own, and it's and all those potential new eyeballs means that Doctor Who's popularity could be about to explode. I mean, the vibe I'm getting from this is they're hoping Doctor Who will be to Disney Plus what Stranger Things was to Netflix. They want it to be a cultural moment. That's what Amazon wanted Lord of the Rings to be for them, right? But it turned out The Boys was. Fans who have difficulty accessing the show will no longer struggle. Doctor Who will be on Disney Plus homepage alongside Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar. It's actually insane to think about, and it's clear that Russell D. Davies wants to give Doctor Who the global stage it deserves. Yes, I think that is clear, right? I think this new iteration of Doctor Who is limited by Russell D. Davies' imagination, which is very good news for us, right? Very good news. He's got quite a good imagination. That's Russell D. Davies. Doctor Who Cinematic Universe. I hope not, right? I don't see it happening. I certainly don't see it happening with John Barrowman. What the hell? Davies has said for quite a while that Doctor Who could easily support its own version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but he's always been very, very solid that Doctor Who is a television show, not a movie franchise, right? Spin-offs he had some really, really fascinating things like TV shows. Their scope normally goes from left to right, where movies they go up and down. That's why was it New Earth? What's the one? The one with the cat nuns in New Earth, with Tennant's first, not Christmas Invasion, the first story, right? That's while they're in the elevator, being sucked up to give it more like a because it's vertical. He thought it gave it a more cinematic feel, but he says it's a television property, and I think that's really key, right? Because that's where we're moving now in the future, right? We're moving away from cinematic experiences, and I think the way for cinema to survive is to focus on it being a cinema only experience, right? To get the best experience of it. Right, spin-offs like Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventure, which he created, support this claim, and Class, which was short-lived because it wasn't very good. Another valiant attempt to get this going. This harks back to an earlier point on the list. Davis has the power and experience to elicit an emotional reaction from the audience like none whom followed him have managed or preceded him. It's a unique talent. Sometimes he's relied on this high cap, while other times he's relied on beating melodrama. Yet at all times, it's used the familiar to grab our attention. A cinematic universe, even if it was confined to television, then it's not cinematic, you idiot. Okay, a shared universe is a really exciting concept, right? Yeah, I absolutely think that's going to happen, right? I will be surprised if we don't get a Sophie Aldred series. Given her performance in JoJo's finale, which I thought was excellent, I really think that's the new Sarah Jane Adventures. Getting a Sophie Aldred series. She was going to be in Sarah Jane Adventures. Sophie, I think you might be in luck, darling. I think you might be in luck for a bit of a job. Think of the episodes of Stolen Earth, Journey's End, The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. These took place at the best parts of what Doctor Who fandom knew and supercharged them, creating an electric atmosphere that went beyond the usual Saturday night fare. That's true, right? It really is true. But that was back in the days when we were excited to see Nick Fury at the end of the Hulk, right? It was at the very early days of the cinematic universes, shared universe, and I think we're going to be doing something a little bit more advanced than that. They reward reviewers for sticking with the show, offering an incredibly fun escape that while also winking at them, knowing everyone was in on the joke. That's true. Davis made the world of Doctor Who bigger than ever had been, something that won the love of viewers and surely win the love of viewers in days to come. I think so. Now, I keep saying that I don't think. I don't know if this era of Doctor Who is going to be something that I like. It's something that I would call Doctor Who. I am convinced it's going to be very, very, very successful, though. Right, very successful. David's even better than he was in 2005. I agree. I completely agree. I mean, look, he's got an extra 15 years of experience, and yeah, he's always pushed his craft forward, right? He's always pushed himself forward to do something better. As previously mentioned, Russell T Davies wrote Queer as Folk before becoming the Doctor Who showrunner. It was a bold and provocative show that offered many their first peek in the lives of queer people. Not me, really. I mean, I don't know who lived in this weird segregated universe where they didn't know anybody gay, right? It's really strange. I mean, and when it came out, you had like gay characters on EastEnders. It was it's very mainstream to be gay, and it has been for about 30 years. I don't know what to tell you, mate. Then when he took over Doctor Who, everybody in space became either bisexual or Welsh. I don't think so. As a queer writer, I hate the word queer, right? He's a gay writer. I think he identifies as queer, though, right? Because, again, queer is all about sexually mutilating children now as a tenet of being queer, which is very strange, right? Very strange, like sterilizing children. I don't think that's anything to do with only with sexuality. I just think that's strange. When Davis stepped away in 2009, people wondered what would be next to him. In short, rather a lot. Years and years would offer a terrifying yet starkly accurate view of what was waiting for us all in the future. It was 100% wrong, right? That's what it was all about. Zach. It was how Donald Trump would destroy the world, and it turned out it was Joe Biden. It's very strange. But people are just detached from reality, right? Detached from truth, detached from reality. The way Davis balanced mundane life with over-the-top events was evocative of his time on Doctor Who, yet it never strayed into science fiction. Well, it did at the end, a little bit. Yeah, no, it did at the end. Okay, the ending may have veered very close, but it still works. Okay, but it's still science fiction. Then along comes It's a Sin. We challenge you to say that you weren't affected by the stories of the group in the 80s London. Frankly, I preferred A Very British Scandal, and I thought It's a Sin's beautiful. I think it's a very good thing. But yes, obviously he's refined as a writer, because he's kept pushing himself forward. It was simply put a triumph of storytelling, one from a writer who had cut his teeth on the OTT over the top. The thought of the same writer now controlling Doctor Who again is a formidable idea. Yes. I mean, like, it was a formidable idea 15 years ago. Now, yes, with all this experience, I think it's going to be very good news. One suggesting that a golden age is imminent. I believe so too. Right? I believe so too. More consistent stream of episodes. Ooh, I hadn't thought of this. Yes. I mean, look, Capaldi really got screwed over by the BBC. Yeah, they would move the show all around. It would be hard to find, and people would chase it, right? People would chase it because they liked it, and they had this gold on their hands that they could do that with, right? And I think Doctor Who really did well it being on Netflix in the US, right? It being convenient and easy on Netflix. People are like, oh, what's this? This is interesting. From 2005 to 2008, Doctor Who enjoyed one season per year, usually consisting of 12 to 13 episodes. In 2009, the show moved to a series of specials, breaking that streak. Then while Series 5 aired in one block, Series 6 was split into two. Yes, seeing the beginning of a more fractured schedule for the show. Yes, and again, it was really being screwed over by the BBC. While it's wonderful to receive episodes over a longer period of time, there is something to be said for letting the story play out over a set number of weeks. With Davis's, I hope they don't drop it all in one day. Disney doesn't do that, right? I'm struggling to finish the Devil's Hour starring Peter Capaldi. And look, spoiler warning, I got a half hour of it to go, and I finish it, I'm going to do a review. Spoiler warning, it's not worth your time, mate. It's just not worth it. I'm sorry, I love Peter Capaldi, and I love him in it, but from what I've seen thus far, not worth your time. You steer clear, right? There's 6 hours of you could do with of your life you can make a lot more use out of. Where was it? With Davis' return and the announcement that he will receive 3 specials in November of 2023, and I think we might get a 4th on Christmas Day with shooting, right? It suggests there is at least a will to air as many stories as close together as possible. It may not be a full series, but it should be. It should state satiate or sate. What's sate? I think it's meant they mean satiate the thirst of many fans. While still to release offers. Wait a minute. My point about the Devil's Hour was if they release that weekly as opposed to dumping it all in one day, I think it would have done a lot better, right? But dumping it all in, oh God, it really diminished the experience. It was supposed to like build up gently, and it didn't. It was just like a clump, right? It was a clump. That's the best way of describing it. While standard releases are nothing new for Doctor Who, it's always fun to build a story 1 week and pay it off in the next week. We've had a measly 3 episodes in 2022. The specials. And though COVID played a role in that, it still feels pretty lackluster. It's also Chris Chibnall, right? Chris Chibnall is, as well as being untalented, also seemingly quite lazy, right? And I only say that because his reduced output. You know, compare his output compared to Moffat's or Rusty Davis. It's much smaller. Doctor Who could and should have had a series, even just 8 episodes every single year. So hopefully Russell Davies can get that going for 2024. I don't know how many episodes, really. I wonder how many it's going to be. Plus, the excitement of the week-to-week releases, something that rarely worked well, has rarely worked as well as it did during the Davis tenure. The man knows what he's doing. Look, okay, we're agreeing, right? We're agreeing. Marketing a marketing plan that actually celebrates the show. Yeah. Look, another thing that Chris Chibnall was very bad at, very, very bad at, was marketing the show. He was terrible at it, in fact. That's what I'm looking forward to tomorrow. A new Doctor Who magazine coming out. Again, for you, it's in the past. For me, it's in the future. There's just going to be Rusty Davies talking a lot and being excited, right? And it's kind of like Stan Lee was in the 70s, right? If you read those Marvel comics in the 70s, he used to write his little thing at the back, the ball pen, and it was just like he would enthuse you with excitement, right? He said, Excelsior, it would just be, you'd be carried on with his enthusiasm through it, and I don't care if it was just important, he was making it up. I was uplifted by it, and I feel the same energy come from Rusty Davies. Who Culture released a breakdown video, Jodie Whittaker's Regeneration episode, detailing the best and worst. There's a lot more of that. While celebrating a tenure. Not much to celebrate there. There's a selection of comments suggesting that people only said that people only knew about this episode because we had advertised it. Well, they really, really kept it quiet. That fight, they didn't promote it as much as they should have done. You had Jodie Whittaker and Sylvester McCoy's sweater, right? That should have been on the front of Doctor Who magazine. That episode was really one they shouldn't have been as embarrassed about. I mean, that's the episode they're embarrassed about. They weren't embarrassed about the woman who fell to earth. They weren't embarrassed about the battle of Ulflus, Rumpel Dumple, whatever it was. They weren't embarrassed about. They are worried about the power of the Doctor. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand the BBC is run by morons, so that would help most of us understand it. Somewhere along the way, the marketing for Doctor Who has faded into the background. This is by no means the fault of Chris Chibnall. It's entirely the fault of Chris fucking Chibnall. What the hell? What are there little secret monkeys that are like inside his brain stopping him market the show? No. Oh, it's not his fault. I mean, it is his responsibility and job to do it, and he screwed it up. But it's not his fault. Of course, it's his bloody fault. It was well on the way before he took the reins. If one thinks back to 2000, no, it fucking wasn't. I'm sorry. He made the interest in the show the all-time lowest of all time. Yeah, all-time lowest of all time. That sounds a bit redundant. But yeah, he made the interest in the show the lowest of all time, right? I'm sorry. It was difficult to find a single moment of BBC television that didn't feature Doctor in some way. Frankly, David Tennant was everywhere because people liked him. I was like, why are you putting this incredibly popular person on TV? Because he's incredibly popular. Why are you not putting this incredibly unpopular person on TV? Because she's incredibly unpopular. It's not fucking rocket science, you morons! Anyway. It's a simple truth. The more the show was advertised, the more people watch it. Yes, and that's why they hid it in a bloody basement. They are embarrassed about it. David is a master of this. Yes, he is. I'm excited about it. Something his compatriots would do well to emulate. Well, Moffat was pretty good too. It was only Chibnall who sucked. I'm sorry. If he uses the same campaign as employed for Tennant's departure to get people ready for his return, it's safe to say Doctor Who may yet be entering another golden age. I think a much more golden age, quite frankly. We don't have a time machine, so we don't know exactly how things will play out. But with Rusty Davies, Doctor Who may just be in the safest hands imaginable. And I agree again, right? I agree again. I am agreeing with the mainstream media. I think there might be something wrong with me, or maybe something wrong with the mainstream media. Who knows? Or dares to dream? Who knows? Or dares to dream? What's down the line? Waiting for us for Doctor Who next year. I am excited at this point, and I'm just going to remain excited. I'm excited to find out. My name is Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.